Now for our third segment, we're going to talk about towing a vehicle behind a motorhome. Now, I'm no expert at doing this, but I was fortunate to find some folks who are experts. Let me introduce to you Jerry and Carol Dale.
Hi,
Jerry,
Mark.
how you doing?
Hi,
Carol?
Mark.
Welcome to boot camp, folks. We're really glad you're here. What are you going to show us today?
Today we're going to show you the safe and legal way to tow a car behind a motorhome.
Okay, folks, there are 3 important safety points I want to cover. Number 1, never back your motorhome up with your car attached. If you do, you have opened the door for a big family discussion.
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear any more of this. For Pete's sake, just get...
Your car is not designed to back up with that power assist. One or two things are going to happen. You're either going to bend or break the tow bar or the base plate. All right, number 2, your tow bar should always be level between the coach and the car. We refer to this as 0+1 tolerance, where the tow bar hooks to the base plate should never be higher than the receiver on the back of your coach. This is not a safe way to tow. This misalignment can cause extreme stress on the tow bar and the base plate. To set up our tow bar properly, to determine the hitch height of both the motorhome and the car, we'll need to park the motorhome and the car on level surface. Then we will take and measure the center of the receiver on the motorhome, which is 20 inches, Carol. And then we move over to the base plate on the car. That will be 16 inches. In this case, we subtract 16 from 20, which gives us a 4-inch difference. That means we will need a 4-inch drop-down receiver to make the tow bar level for towing. I recommend that you use a locking pin to secure the drop-down receiver. Finally, number 3, supplemental braking. Everybody towing today should have a supplemental brake while they're towing. Your options today are surge brake, air brake, vacuum brake, or a self-contained system. Most states today require that you have one based upon weight requirements. I chose the air brake system because it gives me proportional braking air to air. Let me show you mine. This is a brake-safe system, and it operates from the Motorhome air brakes. Here is an example of another popular brake system. This is an Apollo self-contained braking system. It senses deceleration and applies the towed vehicle brakes when necessary. I can show you how it works with this test button. Another possibility is a vacuum brake system, like this Towed Stop 2. This unit operates the towed brake through a cable routed to the brake pedal and can be mounted in the trunk. I'll use the test button to show you how it works. Okay, for the best way for you to decide which system is best for you is to talk to other RVers and also attend some brake system seminars at RV rallies. Now, let's talk about tow bars. There are 3 common styles. This is a rigid A-frame tow bar. It's the worst damn one on the market to use. This coupler has to line up perfectly with that ball, and when it doesn't, you got to help it lock it down. Thankfully, we don't use these anymore. This is a car-mounted tow bar. It is also self-lining, self-locking. So we take it out of storage, we put it into the A-frame position. As you can see, it's freely adjustable. We line it up with the ball receiver, lock it, and you can see this is a lot better than the last one I just did. This is a motorhome mounted tow bar with self-aligning, self-locking arms. I will stand directly behind it so that the leverage works to my benefit and not against me. I will pick it up, bring it to center, pull it out towards me, separate the arms. Then I want to verify that each arm will lock. It does. I release it. I check this one. It locks. I release it. Now we're ready to take and bring this up to the tab on the base plate. Accessories you will need and required by law is safety cables. You'll need 2 of these. This is a class 3 rated at 5,000 pounds. You will also need an electrical cable. I recommend a 6-round electrical cable. It has a much better locking mechanism between the male and the female. Plus it has 2 spare wires that you can use to hook up possibly a supplemental brake. Hey, it's always good to carry an extra set of pins with you. You use these to hook the tow bar to the base plate. In the event that one of these should come up missing, you've just opened the door to another family discussion. Hey, honey, would you please hand me the other pen? Come on, it's gonna rain. What do you want? Well, what'd you do? What'd you do with it? I didn't have it. You put it back in there the last time. Come on. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Then, one of you are going to be driving the car and the other's going to be driving a motorhome. That's what a family discussion is all about. Okay, let's get hitched up. For this demonstration, we will be using a motorhome mounted tow bar. This motorhome hitch has a tow rating of 7,000 pounds. The receiver hitch has a tongue rating of 700 pounds. The car we will be towing weighs 4,700 pounds. Therefore, we are well within our margin of safety. We need to develop a routine and stick to it. If you have a companion or a co-pilot, this is my co-pilot, my wife, I highly recommend that you work together as a team. If at all possible, you need to be on a level surface when you hook up and disconnect. For safety reasons and to check the tail lights on the motorhome, it's best to turn your motorhome lights on along with your emergency flashers. One of us will bring the car up to the coach. The other one will attach the tow bar to the base plate of the car.
If anyone should walk up and offer to help you hook up or unhook, it's best not to do this. Why do we say this? Because it breaks the routine you've established. Should it happen, you would want to go back and recheck everything you've done.
Okay, Carol, it's time to bring the car up to the coach. Now this is very important. Never stand between the coach and the car. You want to stand off to the driver's side for better visibility between you and the driver, to bring the driver forward. Do a handshake with your base plate. This is to assure nothing is loose and unsafe. Next, pull each arm out on a self-locking and self-aligning tow bar to ensure they will lock properly. Unlock them by pushing the release handle, button, or collar depending on the model you are using. We're ready to hook each arm up to the base plate. I recommend that we use a locking pin just like this one here. I put it from the outside in, I lock it, and outside in so that when I unhook it, I'm going to pull straight out on it. First thing we're going to do now is hook up the safety cables to the base plate. This is very important, so pay attention. You have two options regardless of what base plate you will be using. As an example, where the cables hook up to the base plate, they're either going to be outside the arms or inside the arms. This particular demonstration, they're going to be on the outside. We will cover that first. So I will remove the safety cables from their storage position. The passenger side will end up over on the driver's side because we cross these cables once they leave the receiver. Now, I will take this cable, which is going over here, and since it's on the outside, I'm going to bring this cable up between the arms, do a half loop on top of the tow bar, bring it over here and hook it up. I will repeat that same procedure by picking this one up between the arms, a half loop over, bring it over here, and hook it up. There it is. Now that completes hooking it up. And the reason we have done this, because once I do a half loop here, I make a straight line from here to here. That keeps the safety cable away from this rubber boot. Never, never wrap the cables around the tow bar. You don't want anything to interfere with these in the event that you should ever have to use them. Again, it needs to be in front of this doghouse, underneath this release arm. If it ever gets up here on top like so, then that releases the arm so it can go in and out. So we want it tucked in front of the doghouse underneath the release arm. Now, I will unhook these and show you what we do in the event that your tabs to hook up the safety cables are on the inside of the tow arms. We again cross them, but we will take this first cable from the driver's side to the passenger side of the car. We will bring it up the outside, do that same half loop, and then come straight up here and hook it up to the tow bar. Again, now on this one, the passenger side to the driver's side, We'll bring it up on the outside, not the inside as we did the other one, and then we'll do a half loop and bring it straight up and hook it up to the base plate. The next thing we will hook up is a 6-round electrical cable. First of all, we need to support this between the coach and the car. Going down the road, I call this a harmonic bounce. If you don't support it, it'll eventually end up to be 10 or 11 feet long. So we will first hook one end up to the motorhome. Then from this point to this point, basically it's 100%. So I'll take 50% of this cable. I'll do a half loop, lay it over the tow bar arm. I do not wrap it around it. Then I'll bring the other end up, hook it to the car. I will tuck it up under the release lever in front of the doghouse. Therefore, there's no chance of it getting up on top and releasing this arm. If you have been working as a team, your co-pilot has prepared the car for tow. She has checked the owner's manual for instructions. In this case, we will start the engine, put the transmission in neutral, disconnect the drive shaft. This will allow this vehicle to be towed 4 down. Put the transmission back in park, turn the ignition off, and remove the key. Next, we will hook up the air hose between the coach and the car. Again, it's a harmonic bounce, just like we talked about earlier. We will support it. First, we will hook this end up to the coach. We will hook this end up to the car. We'll take 50% of this air hose, lay it half loop across, tuck it up under the release arm in front of the doghouse, and we're ready to go. The next step is to hook the push actuator to the connection under the seat and to the brake pedal. The very last thing we hook up will be the breakaway lanyard, and we do that for a particular reason. We don't want anything to interfere with this in the event that we ever have to use it. This end will be hooked into the receiver hitch where one of the safety cables was attached. This end will be attached to the breakaway switch on the base plate. The reason for that is we want a straight line between the breakaway switch and the receiver hitch. So that means it needs to be installed somewhere between the arms of the tow bar. Okay, now it's time to extend and lock the arms on the tow bar. There are 3 ways to do this. First way is to drive the motorhome slowly forward for 10 feet without moving the steering wheel. Both arms then will lock up within the first 2 to 4 feet. Now, to extend the arms in a shorter distance, we need to identify which one of the arms is the shortest. Once we have done that, we will turn the wheels of the car towards that short arm, and then we will drive forward. This will activate the locking up much faster. Instead of driving the motorhome forward, we can actually back the car up to lock one or both of the arms. As you can see right now, this arm is longer than this one, so if we was to back straight up, this arm would lock and this one would not. So by starting the engine, turning the wheels, we can now back up. In the event that you're hooking up going downhill, this is the method that you want to use. Okay, we have just talked about 3 ways to extend and lock the arms on a tow bar. We have already tested the arms and tried them, and we know they lock. I prefer just getting in the motorhome, driving straight forward, and both arms will lock up. The other 2 ways that we talked about is there for you to understand the flexibility of the equipment and what you can do with it. Now that we're hooked up, we're going to rotate with our teammate or co-pilot and double check what each of us have done. She will check what I have done, and I will check what she has done. If you're traveling solo, you may want to use a checklist. This allows you to go around and verify everything that you have done. Also recall that we left the parking lights on and the emergency lights to verify that lights are working correctly. And we've looked up on top of the coach to make sure that the antenna's down. Shall we do a walk around?
Let's do it.
Carol will check the car, make sure that the doors are locked, the mirrors are turned in. I will check the bays, the awnings, make sure they're strapped in, locked in position. All the doors. I will continue to the front of the coach, go around the coach, and do the same thing. Okay, we're ready to travel. When it's convenient, within the first 50 miles, stop and double check everything again. Safe is always better than sorry. Now let's talk about unhitching. You're coming into your campground. You need to find a place that you can run for about 20 feet, slow down to about half a mile an hour, put your transmission in neutral, let it roll to a stop, then secure the coach. You will then be able to go back and pull the pins with no problem. First thing we will do is get the car out of the towing mode back into the driving mode. Then we will take and do a reverse hookup. First thing I will do is to remove the lanyard cable from the car and from the motorhome, roll it up, put it in the bag. Then I will remove the electrical cable from the car and from the motorhome, put it in the bag. Then the air hose, place it in the bag. Then the safety cables. Then I will check for the pressure. This one's free, this one's free. So I'll remove that pin. Got pressure on the release handle. I can't rotate the pins. This means the car is pushing in this direction on the pin. We will back the car up. Normally this means only one pin will have pressure on it. In the event that both pins have pressure on them, and they do, this means then that we will rotate the tires back and forth. That one is free, and that one is free, just by rotating the tires left and right. We will now stow our safety cables, then our tow bar, we will take our accessories and stow them in a secure place. Now, let's talk about tow bar maintenance. Yes, your tow bar means maintenance just like your motorhome and your car. First, we will bring it up out of storage, separate the arms. We'll stand this one arm up. First thing we will do is to check the rubber boots, look for holes, cracks, or any damage to it. If so, we need to take it off, clean off all the old grease, put new grease back on it, put a new rubber boot, new ties, you're ready to go. Next thing, wherever there's a nut and a bolt, we want to verify that it has a nice, comfortable drag on it. As an example, if that falls by itself like that, I will take my wrench and I will snug it down. Clean your tow bar with soap and water. When you're giving your motorhome a bath, you want to also give your tow bar a bath. Once it is dry, we will first take a good spray on silicone. We'll cover all the painted surfaces. Do not put any lubricant of any kind on the ball and socket. It does not require any. Just wash it in soap and water, let it dry, and forget about it. Then we will take 303. I recommend this because it has one of the best UV protectants I have found, particularly for rubber. I will spray this on. I'll take a rag, kind of rub it in, and then to protect your tow bar, either remove the tow bar or cover it to protect it from the elements. That takes care of the tow bar. Now we need to check the tow's hardware. This base plate has been installed with Loctite, and we've used a torque wrench to tighten all bolts. Once a year, you need to get under here, take your torque wrench, and verify that they're still tight. While I'm down here, I'm going to look at the tabs, the electrical, look for rust, anything might be bent or damaged. You need to do this at least once a year. Check electrical connections and wiring on a regular basis. Check safety chains or cables for rust and damage. I recommend that accessories be removed and stored when not in use. While traveling, I always do a walk around before I take off again. Go back and verify that everything is okay between the car and the coach.
Okay, folks, that concludes our segment on motorhome hitching. Mark, did you learn anything?
I sure did, Jerry. And thank you both very much for sharing your expertise with us.